Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, grab your drink, grab your pills, and buckle down. We'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. Guys, I'm a little bit under the weather today, but the struggle continues. We continue to hold the NDC administration feet to the fire, keeping them honest. The issues remain, and they're getting worse. Housing, for instance. The government and the people of the Republic of China donated 647 low-income homes to the people of Grenada, as we say, free of cost. According to the chairman of the Housing Authority, these houses will be sold to persons for $55,000 for the one bedroom and $73,000 for the two bedroom. Monies to be paid in full to the Housing Authority. Before one gets their keys, they're saying to you that you must pay $55,000 or $73,000 to the Housing Authority. Be it you get a loan, or as they say, if you have that type of money there, you can come straight to the Housing Authority and pay them. We're talking about low-income houses that was given to the people of Grenada who are low-income earners. Some of them are no earners. They're not earning. And that is what the Chinese housing project is all about, right? Therefore, with this process of having to purchase, go into the bank or go into a financial institution for a loan, this is eliminating the original reason for the gift in the first place. Low-income earners. Let's hear the chairman of the Housing Board, the Housing Authority Board.
So as we go down the road, we would see that ownership of the units from the start is the way to go. We would transfer into your hands over 60 an equity or wealth directly into your hands immediately as you purchase these units. We are asking people to do one of two things. Come, if you have the full amount, you could come to the Housing Authority and buy it straight from the Housing Authority. If you don't, then you will need a loan from any of the financial institutions. The Housing Authority of Grenada contacted the financial institutions before, and they are on board, and they're eager and they're willing. They are going to be offering loans. We had suggested at 3%, and it will go from maybe between 3 and 5%. But we really got the assurance from some that they would stick to the 3%. The cost of a single one-bedroom unit is $55,000. And the cost of a single two-bedroom unit is $73,000.
Lie. No arrangements was made with the banks and an agreement with the banks. That is a lie. The accountant of the Housing Authority further explained the process.
The chairman would have alluded to the fact that the units are now being distributed. The distribution of the units will be done through outright sale to the selected applicants at a cost which is marked down by 55%. What do I mean by an outright sale? It means that a lump sum payment. It cannot be paid in tranches, but a lump sum payment for the sale of the units at a cost marked down by 55%. Why are we selling it outright sale? The method of giving direct loans to individuals was used in phase 1 of the low-income housing. This has resulted, as you would have heard in our previous press conference, in only 20% of the applicants continuing to meet their obligations, and a non-compliance rate of 80%. Tenants, for one reason or the other, do not feel obligated to the Housing Authority, and for this very reason, we had no other choice but to go this route of an outright sale. The selling price, as you would have heard before, a 2-bedroom unit would be sold at $73,000, a 1-bedroom unit at $55,000. After the purchase of the unit, the prospective homeowner now will have an addition to their equity of just over 60% because of the value of the unit compared to the selling price. So you would have an excess equity of over 60%. The financing. Selected applicants will be contacted by the authority to visit our office first to collect the notice of offer to purchase. The applicant will then be required to seek financing to confirm the purchase of the unit, or if they have the finance, they can arrange for direct purchase from HAG. I repeat, you will be required to seek financing to confirm the purchase of the unit, or you can arrange for direct purchase from HAG if your financing is available. So it means that collecting the notice of offer to purchase does not guarantee purchase of the unit. A meeting was held between the authority, the banks, and other financial institutions on September 22nd, 2023. Insurance brokers were also present, who were all on board with us with the financing process. So there is nothing for the potential homeowners to worry about. The banks are already on board. The credit unions are on board. The lending institutions and insurance brokers are already on board.
The banks are on board. The credit unions are on board. That is if you meet the criteria. Nobody just gives you loan because they said the Housing Authority send you. No, there's no agreement like that. You go, and if you qualify for the loan, then you get it. If not, you don't. If not, you don't. And then she's saying, if you have the finances, that defeats the whole purpose of the housing project. No low-income earner have $73,000 sitting there to pick up, to bring to the Housing Authority, to purchase a 2-bedroom unit that you can't do anything to. You can't expand, you're just there. Nobody does that. So the whole purpose of the low-income housing, that the arrangement was between the New National Party and the People's Republic of China, the government of China, it defeats the whole purpose. They are no longer low-income houses. Low-income earners can't afford those units, can't go to the bank or credit union to access a loan. No. And you guys know that. You know that well enough. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, as leader of the NDC during the campaign, made pie-in-the-sky promises to the people. If given the chance to lead this country, he said. Here is Prime Minister. Well, he was leader of the opposition then.
We are aiming to construct 2,500 homes. The homes will be made available for sale. The price ranges will vary depending on the size of the houses. The plans for the houses will be designed in such a way that they can be scaled up.
He said the NDC plan is to ensure that in the case of new houses constructed, there will be supporting facilities and amenities to create a proper village.
But ensuring that there are things like playgrounds for our children. Parks, ensuring that things like grocery stores are located close by. Ensuring that even simple things like if you need a post office, that those things are located within the communities. Ensuring that if there's a preschool is required, that a preschool is located within the community. Ensuring that things like basketball courts, tennis courts, community centers are made part.
Big election promise. Promise made, promise not kept. Plainfield Post Office, supermarket, resource center, daycare, basketball court, tennis court, all of that to do a housing project. And you're ensuring that these things are in the region of the, oh, give me a break. And they said it wasn't pie in the sky. He said those things wasn't pie in the sky. That wasn't pie in the sky. In his 2023 budget presentation in office, alluding to the Chinese housing not being Grenadian-style houses, and therefore he was going to build 500 Grenadian-style houses per year, 500 per year, throughout the island, starting with Stony Gut in St. John's, an allocation of $2.5 million allocated to that project that was supposed to start in 2023. Here's Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell.
Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to making a meaningful difference in our housing sector by providing high quality and sustainable homes and housing opportunities for our citizens, especially for our youth and single-headed households. Mr. Speaker, in the past 10 years, the former administration spent in excess of $100 million on housing support. Yet, despite these millions, there is nothing substantive to show for the significant sum spent. Our assessment points to ill-conceived policies and programs, wastage, and gross mismanagement, resulting in little value for money in improving the housing stock of our most vulnerable citizens. As a result, Mr. Speaker, the housing deficit is vast, and many families remain in urgent need of support. Our commitment to affordable housing. Our commitment in this term, Mr. Speaker, is to deliver 500 high-quality, climate-resilient Grenadian-style houses. Two major initiatives in this budget cycle include: one, the Stony Gut Climate Resilient Housing Development Pilot Project, which aims to construct modern, high-quality, climate-resilient Grenadian-style homes in Stony Gut in the parish of St. John. Construction is expected to start in 2023, Mr. Speaker, and $2.5 million has been budgeted. Mr. Speaker, government will identify and secure lands in all parishes to roll out these houses. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated $2.4 million to retrofit and upgrade the affordable houses that have been graciously donated by the People's Republic of China. We commit to the allocation of the 647 units no later than June of 2023. Mr. Speaker, allow me to underscore our deep appreciation to the People's Republic of China for fulfilling their commitment to deliver these houses to the government and people of Grenada.
Now, all of 2023 went, no housing from the 500 Grenadian-style housing that we're supposed to receive from this administration. And then in 2024, to mark the second year in office, in a press conference, the Prime Minister announced that the 500 Grenadian-style houses will arrive in boxes, prefab houses. Grenadian-style houses, prefab? What happened to bricks and mortar? Bad as it is. Most families try to put up the little concrete structure. After a while, sometimes they even start with wooden, and then they start building around with their little bricks. It might stay unplastered for a while, and even when it's plastered, it might stay unpainted. But real Grenadian-style houses, we know, are bricks and mortar, right? Let's hear the Prime Minister on the prefab houses.
And this is important because what we are trying to do is to make sure that we can significantly reduce the cost of housing in Grenada. If you ask to build a 2-bedroom, modest concrete house, is at least $250,000, $300,000, $400,000. On the salaries that people are working for, you'll never be able to get a house at that price point. So what we are hoping to do with these contractors is to use technology, modern technology, that can allow us to do prefab houses. That is houses that are actually built or manufactured as much as possible in factories. And then what you're doing is you are installing the homes. So we would build the foundations, but you are literally installing the homes, installing the plumbing, installing the electricity and the other amenities. What that should allow is for much more rapid, I'm going to use the word installation of the homes in a shorter space of time, where you can then do a lot of houses quickly and hopefully cheaply.
But Prime Minister, you the one who said you are going to build 500 Grenadian-style low-income houses a year. 500. You even spoke of houses with swimming pool. You're the one who said so. Didn't you do your math before to know that it would be too expensive to call it a low-income house? And so now we have to do with prefab house, which is cheaper and faster, as you said. And that was in 2024, right? And if my memory serves me right, I heard somewhere along the line, by the end of 2024, we should have these prefab houses, right? Sometime later on, in 2024, the chairman of the board of housing, Mr. Hugh Thomas, gave an update on Project 500, which became Project 17, or maybe eventually Project 92. Because he said after they build the 17, maybe they will do another 75, I think, on the other side of the road. But as for now, Project 500 became Project 17. Here is the chairman on Project 500.
Project 500, it's a government initiative to alleviate some of the stresses on the housing industry, to improve the housing stock. As you could appreciate, there's many reasons why persons are unable to build. It could be one, the availability of land. Two, it could be just the cost of building. So combining the two, Project 500 seeks to be able to find land for persons by having large areas of land and developing a community. So what we're trying to do is to have small homes, bigger homes, so that you have a wide range of persons and affordable homes. So if your person was trying to do it on their own, they would not have been able to afford a type of home like that. The quality of homes are such that it would stand up to the hurricane code, the building codes that we have here in Grenada. So it's more resilient. We take into consideration also in Project 500 that climate is changing, and we will try to bring in at a lower level climate smart techniques and material to improve the quality of the home. So we're not just building a regular home. We would try to have it with solar and some other facilities, water storing the facilities and so on, that you would not normally find in a regular housing project of our kind. So that's the difference between what we have done in the past and now. So this in a nutshell is Project 500, but we have 4 elements to Project 500. The first element deals with, we call it categories. So we say category A, where the government or housing authority has land already for that. And in this case, we're starting off with Dunfermline. That is housing authority's land. That is housing authority. It's been designated for homes for a lot of years now, and we already have a housing project up there. So we're just extending that area and using our land to put more homes. In that area, we have a test site that has started, and you would see it off the ground in terms of construction of the foundation during the month of October or towards the end of October. And should complete between December to January, depends on the speed. These are 17 homes. Okay. And from that, you would get, on the other side of the road, Housing Authority also have a further 15 acres, which we would develop and put probably about 75 units, individual homes, including 4 or 5 green spaces.
So why are you calling it Project 500? When so far it's Project 17. And even if you start to build on the other side, it's more like Project 92. And prefab houses, resilient? Really? I'm not sure those two goes together at all. On Monday, February 24th, on a ride-along program, Ian Django Thomas, I want to say an NDC operative, but it's hard to tell these days. He might just be one of the 2,000 disgruntled NDCites who was waiting to go with Peter David once he won the leadership of the NNP. Not sure where Django is these days. However, this is what he had to say on Ride Along. And I'm quoting here. The Housing Authority is building about 170 houses in Dunfermline. Now, let me show you what is going on in Dunfermline, out there in Dunfermline. Remember, we are in year 3, and not one Project 500 house is available. We should be counting at least 1,000 plus, because 500 a year, we had 2023, 2024, we in 2025. So let's say we should have 2,500 project houses available for Grenadians at this point, right? 1,000, because 500 a year, we should have 1,000 available to Grenadians. Here's a video of what is happening in Dunfermline as we speak. This video is not even a day, 24 hours old. Folks, the houses at the back and the blue one on the side, those are houses that were already done and are part of a housing project of the former administration. Persons went with their monies to the housing authority, paid for the lands, government lands, and the housing authority built them their homes. It was called a combo plan, which you get the land and you build the houses, and the housing authority built the houses. Now, the question is, what happened to the people who had already purchased lands there and waiting for the housing authority to build their homes? Number 10 may be able to answer that for us because, as I understand it, her son had a piece of land, a property there. At the time, she was housing minister, and of course, conflict of interest. She had her son purchase, or she might have purchased, I don't know. But anyways, her son had a piece of land there. No house, but a piece of land. Crookedness. As I am on Dunfermline, I think I had mentioned to you guys that Patriot Securities were securing the Dunfermline housing project. Now, to the owner of Patriot Securities, to whoever that is, to whom it may concern, is it true you offered your workers $6,000 worth of materials in exchange for vote in the upcoming elections? Now, Cecil Cadet and Mr. Craig London, who's registered as the owners of Patriot Securities, did you all offer your workers $6,000 worth of material in exchange for votes in the upcoming elections? The next question is, where, sir or sirs, are you all getting this material? Where is Patriot Security getting this material to give out to its workers? $6,000 worth. And then there is Project Build Back Better. Remember, we're dealing with issues here that's not going away. They're just getting worse. So there's Project Build Back Better, where the minister in charge, Minister for MIT, promised through Minister Tevin Andrew, Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs, 50 of those houses by the end of the year 2024 for Carriacou, and in excess of 100 on mainland Grenada. Let's hear the Minister for MIT.
And now, Honorable Tevin Andrew has committed to complete 50 by the end of the year. And we are committing, PS Clark, yes, and ministry, we are committing to do over 100. I have more in my head, but over 100 by the ending of this year. We have already identified families and so. The ministry has already visited some families in the St. Patrick's area. And I'm proud to announce Minister Cornwall and Mr. Andel, I just got information. We have signed over 40 contracts already with contractors to build back for folks in St. Patrick's.
He just got the notice that they signed 40 contracts. Who signed the 40 contracts? I thought it was an MIT project. Who signed the contract? But he's embarrassed to say, with Minister Cornwall and Minister Andel there, that he signed 40 contracts and they don't know. They don't have a clue what's going on. So he had to come up with a story right there. Tim. But it's Comedy Central because everybody's a grinning. I have more in my head. Now, P.S. Clark that he's referring to there is the PS in his ministry, MIT. His first cousin, right? His PS is his first cousin she replaced the very first PS he had in that ministry, PS Perron Johnson, who it is alleged refused to sign ghost contracts. Yes, ghost contracts. The minister asked for her to be removed when she refused to sign the contracts. And of course, she was removed, and he was given his first cousin as his PS. I say no more. Recently, in the evening news, Compliments GBN, we found out that 3 out of 35 houses that started was delivered in Carriacou. Now, remember, 50 was expected at the end of 2024. Now we're hearing that it was just 35 started. So how are we going to get the 50? And you sit there, Mr. Tevin Andrew, knowing fully well that you couldn't provide 50 houses at the end of the year. And you grin, you rock back and forth grinning, knowing fully well you're deceiving the public. You and Andy Williams. Let's hear what the news reporter had to say.
The Ministry of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique Affairs has announced that the government's Material Assistance Program for residents on the islands is on hold until further notice. This was confirmed by the ministry's Public Relations Officer, Deanna Isaac. Speaking to GBN, Isaac explained that the pause is necessary to facilitate a review of the project.
The government's material assistance is on hold. We are reviewing the program, so persons be mindful of that. It's not that the government is stopping the assistance to the people of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, but with everything that you do, you must have a review. So we are reviewing the program, and in short order, persons will know after the reading of the budget, the 2025 budget, what is the next step in terms of government's assistance with the material assistance.
Over the past 7 months of recovery efforts, Isaac noted that the government distributed millions of dollars worth of building materials. She also highlighted ongoing housing initiatives aimed at ensuring that residents receive assistance in securing proper shelter.
Over the last 7 months, we have given out over $30 million in material assistance, targeting mainly the persons who got damages in terms of level 1 and level 2. As you know, Hands That Serve came in. They gave us 27 prefabricated houses, and we now have Happy Homes on the ground in Carriacou, a collaboration between Happy Homes and the government of Grenada. They're presently doing the foundation for housing at Dumfries, 20 new prefabricated houses. The people will be informed about the criteria very shortly.
Additionally, 3 of the 35 houses under the Build Back Better project were handed over to families over the weekend.
The Build Back Better homes, I am happy to report that out of the 35 homes that we have under construction, 3 of those homes last weekend were delivered to the recipients. We had a lovely ceremony, and they were very, very happy. So the Build Back Better homes are continuing. We have now started in Petit-Martinique. I'm happy to say we have 3 houses under construction in Petit-Martinique under project Build Back Better. So the government continues to do what it has to do to help Carriacou and Petit-Martinique rebound after such a devastating hurricane.
The ministry has assured residents that updates on the resumption of material assistance will be provided in due course. Rena P. Thomas, GBN News.
Thank you, GBN. You heard her. 35 under construction, but they promised us 50, right? 35 under construction. And I'll say it again, hogwash, utter nonsense. All this stopping the project for review and everything you do must be reviewed. Monies for the Build Back Better project, the houses projects, was allocated in the 2024 supplementary budget in September of 2024. $149,690,921 to be exact was allocated in that budget for the housing, the burial relief, the housing. Houses were supposed to take 3 weeks to build. The Build Back houses, they were supposed to take 3 weeks to build. According to Minister Andy Williams, he wanted them in 3 weeks, even though the gentleman told him it would take 8 weeks. He said 3 weeks, and then the engineer, of course, succumbed to the minister, because that's how he eating, I guess, and said 3.5 weeks. Let's hear what he had to say.
My team and I from Selective Engineering are delighted to be part of this project, Build Back Better, because in our view, it's a project that will touch the lives of affected people, mainly burial. And when Mr. Minister engaged me, and he came up with the concept, I saw the drawing from Architect Lalji, and we spent some time, and we got to a sweet spot from having a functional unit that is resilient, that is structurally sound, to one that is affordable. So the calls that Mr. Lalji was getting, I was getting it also. And then Mr. Honorable Minister Williams told me, say, these have to be done in 3 weeks. I joke my calculator, say, Mr. Minister, it's impossible. Concrete, 3 to 7 days, you'll get 50% of the strength. We have to wait for certain things to cure to move on. Juice, we need it in 3 weeks. We had discussion with our contractors, other engineers, they say 8 weeks. So what we had to do was streamline the processes, and we did deliver a model house in 3.5 weeks.
Now, I am embarrassed, trust me, for this engineer. And I am today, if it's only at this moment, I mean, there were other moments, but this is one of those. I wish that Simon Says was just for Grenadians in Grenada, and that people abroad wasn't seeing this thing with this engineer who said it was impossible to do the house in 3 weeks. He took his calculator, he said 8 weeks. But then Mr. Minister said, Juice, 3 weeks. And he was able to deliver in 3.5 weeks. Now, those of you who've been following would have seen I done a program where I went to visit the model house after the 3.5 weeks, and it was just a shell. There's nothing inside of it. So the shell took 3.5 weeks. But again, they have to deceive the public and say they built a model house in 3.5 weeks, right? It was empty. If we put Rihanna on the video, we would put it up for you to see, right? It was empty. So it's roughly 35 weeks since burial. And yesterday, the 26th of February 2025, some 10 houses, or should I say 10 keys, was handed over to some people of Rose Hill, St. Patrick. And I said 10 keys because I was watching the ceremony, And when come to the third house or the fourth house, somewhere right there, set of keys. The moderator, the person, the host who said, and we were about to deliver the last set of keys. And then for some reason, she just continued calling out names and giving out keys. So I am not sure if there were 10 houses or if there were 3 houses and 10 keys. But I'll find out. It was yesterday. Program is today. I don't have the time. But if I have to go to Rosehill myself, I would find out and find the 10 houses. Now, here is Minister Dennis Cornwall of the Ministry of Finance, MP of the constituency of St. Patrick East.
Done so far. They were done free of cost by the government, to the people who had lost their home. But there would come a time when those build back houses would continue. But then we call upon you to pay for those houses going forward. I know it may not be good news for some people because they feel that government should give everything that they have free. It's not possible. I have said it before, not once, not twice, but it would not be a situation where everybody get a free house from government going forward. So without further ado, I did ask my personal assistant to deliver a written statement that we've had prepared for you guys here today. And so I'll call on my personal assistant, Ms. Salim, to basically deliver that speech which I'm supposed to have delivered.
He is correct. Give him that. He did say that more than once, that the houses were not all free and that persons would have to purchase the Project Build Back houses. But you see that Project Build Back Better, Build Back Better. You see the Build Back Better house in the back when he was speaking it, when they showed the photo? Is that better? Huh? Oh no, come on. Not for all that money y'all spending there. It's like, come on. It saddens me to see that. And then the minister say, or call on his personal assistant to deliver the speech, which was supposed to be delivered by him. Is he absent? Who just spoke there? Because he had to be absent to tell us that the speech that he's supposed to deliver, he calling on his assistant to deliver it. Further to that, under vote 29, Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, a total of $24.5 million was given to Minister Andy Williams. It's like putting cats to watch cheese. What would we expect to happen? Now, I have to get my glasses, and I want to read to you from the Supplementary Estimates 2024 submission by the Ministry of Finance, and vote 29, Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, and Community Mobilization and Empowerment Project number 0114502, $8 million. And it says rehabilitation and construction of roads within the 6 parishes throughout Grenada. This represents approximately 20 small roads to facilitate the completion of 26 houses and the completion of 15 new houses in St. Patrick's. So Andy Williams got $8 million to build roads in St. Patrick's to facilitate the building of the houses. 26 one way, 26 to complete. So which means these houses were already started. 26 to complete and 15 new ones to start, right? In St. Patrick's. $8 million. Now, 0048564, Hurricane Beryl response. $1.5 million to cover the cost of cleanup activities on mainland Grenada and the Carriacou and Petit Martinique by the Ministry of MIT due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl. And the big one, 0048564, Hurricane Beryl response, $15 million. Reconstruction of approximately 200 houses, or homes rather, on mainland Grenada in the parishes of St. Mark and St. Patrick. $50,000 per home, which includes labor and material. So $50,000 period. Labor, material, and equipment cost, if deemed necessary, right? $50,000. So let's do the math. And I didn't go to school to do my adult afternoon class for no reason. Mr. Orlando Romain paying for class for me, yeah. So 200 homes multiplied by $50,000 gives us a total of $10 million. But Mr. Andy Williams got $15 million. So we have a balance of $5 million. So the question continues to be, Mr. Williams, what is the extra $5 million for? And when you add up the 8 million, 1.5, and the 15 million, we got a total of $24 million. 24 million, 24.5 actually, million dollars to this man in MIT. This is a gentleman that is writing Bong's check to cover Bong's check. This is a gentleman who took a bribe of $100,000 cash from the contractor of the Cliff Road project in exchange for the contract. This is a gentleman who visited the contractor, who did the work to refurbish the floor, the cable and wireless building on the Carnage, which housed is now the headquarters of the police, the RGPF Grenada. Visited the contractor periodically to collect sums of money or monies for giving him that contract as well. I say no more. I say no more. So the question, as I said, remains, and I'll ask it until we get proper answers. What is the extra $5 million that was given to Andy Williams? What is the extra, the balance, the $5 million balance? What is that money for? Where is it? Well, in fact, where's the 15 million? Because on the 8 million for this roads he's supposed to build in St. Patrick. Where are these roads that Andy Williams and his MIT ministry built for $8 million? Where are they? And the 26 houses that was already building, and the extra 15, the new 15 ones. Where are these houses? My goodness. Just in plain sight, so. Just in plain sight. Moving on to issues, and let's deal with the pension, the SUSU saving scheme. That continues to be an issue in the books. This contributory mandatory SUSU plan is evident that our government is broke. It's as a result of show off. We're paying all the retroactive one-time payoff, forgetting that pension is not a one-off. And so when they realize we have to pay this thing every month, we have to pay the pensioners every month, they then start to cry foul. We're regularizing all temporary workers, one public service, so that all workers can get the same benefits. You can't be sitting next to me and I get in the benefits. We started to work, you working together, and you're not getting the benefits. So we're going to do one public service. Here is Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell.
And there will be one public service. If you are working for and on behalf of the state of Grenada and you are fulfilling a permanent job, there is no need to have you branded as an Imani worker, and there is no need for you to be placed on contract. You will be regularized and made part of the public service.
Regularized and made part of the public service. Once you're part of the public service, you fall under the 1958 pension plan, and you get your pension under that act, where you get your pension until you die, and after you die, your estate gets your pension. Now, with this new SUSU plan, it's a pay-as-you-go. You pay, and you use up what you pay. When you're done pay what you use, and you use it up, that's it. And this is what the administration must discuss with the workers. Let them know these things. Let them know that what they're getting into, and agree to it. Needless to say, they were warned. Our economy cannot sustain regularization across the board. The former administration, the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, told them so on more than one occasion. They grinned, they laughed at him. What do he? Why he know? No, they telling us it's not sustainable. Here is Prime Minister.
The regularization is focused on the several hundreds, if not thousands, of the persons who do not have those things. And the point that I think P.S. Marshall was making is that in order to treat with that, we simply cannot take all of them and make them established public servants, for the simple reason that it will bankrupt the government. It will not be sustainable. So the discussion, the partnership, the compromise has to essentially be how we improve the terms and conditions of these persons' employment as close as possible to that of established workers in a manner that is sustainable. And that involves a number of things. How we agree on a pension formula for them, for example, how we agree on the vacation, etc., etc., etc. So that is what the process.
Didn't he just say he's going to make one public service by regularizing all contract workers? No, he's telling us he can't do it. It's not sustainable. It's going to bankrupt the government. Didn't you do your homework before you make those pronouncements? Oh no, it was all the nice talks to fool the public workers into voting for you in the last election, and to fool the Imanis and to fool the contract workers into voting for you in the last elections. Now, what you like to say? Fool me once, blame on me. Fool me twice, blame on you. Is that what it is? Whichever way. But you ain't gonna fool them a second time. No, you won't. No, you won't. And here is the AG, Cynthia's daughter, who all of a sudden realized she must be straight up with the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
We also raised the issue of contract work and how unfair contract work is, whether it's taking place in the public sector or the private sector, and the need to regularize as much as we can contract workers. But let's be straight. We're going to be straight with the nation. Contract work and pension reform must go together, because we commit to pay the retroactive pension, and we are doing so. We understand the import of the ruling of the court, but so as not to do severe damage, perhaps even irreparable damage to our economy in the long run, we must work out a pension plan going forward that's sustainable. Because as it stands now, when people retire, they are entitled to NIS, that's public servants I mean, they are entitled to NIS plus government pension, and government pension is a non-contributory pension, which means the government alone pays everything into the pension fund, plus under the NIS law, the government pays 6% into the NIS, into the National Insurance Fund.
Now, she said, contract work and pension reform must go together. So why didn't you tell the workers that during the campaign, that we'd have to do pension reform, and and we cannot regularize all of you, the contract workers. And so we would have to do a special SUSU plan for you, where you would have to contribute to that plan as well as you are contributing to your NIS. Now you're talking as though NIS happened after June 2022, and that you all didn't know about NIS and that people were contributing to NIS. All of that been there. But in an effort to deceive the nation, you say you're going to regularize everybody, one public service. There's no need to have parallel public service. It's all kind of fancy things that can be changed by the stroke of a pen. I mean, you name it, it was said. Sounding good to the workers. Yay. They didn't know the boogeyman was waiting down the road for them. And I'm warning you workers, be careful, because the boogeyman is still there. It's still there. Now I have a question. Since January 2025, monies were deducted from the worker's salary. The question is, where are these monies? Where is the money going? Is the Board of Trustees formed? Who are the members of the Board of Trustees? Is there a fund set up for the monies? The workers' monies are being deducted. As I say, and I'm saying it again, workers, this new SUSU pension saving plan is pay as you go. When you use it up, it done. That's it. It's a pay as you go. Moving along, the issue of rural development. In fact, development throughout the Tri-Island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, with the exception of St. David's. And if you speak to someone in St. David's, they say to you, what exactly did we get? What development? But it seems as though, because, you know, there are a lot of movies being made, the photo ops, it makes you believe. Of course, they got, I think, 5 playing field, and they got some cricket bats from Dangote. Well, I mean, that's all we get from Dangote, some cricket bats. Listen, so everything seems to be going to St. Vincent, to St. David's, I mean. And they had the WASH program. The pilot WASH program was held in St. David, and it was supposed to move on to a next constituency. Can anybody tell me which is the next constituency the WASH program moved into after they come from St. David's? I would love to know, because you had nothing of the WASH program anymore. The south of the island, don't be fooled. Nothing when it comes to development was done there. But the south carries its own businesses, and that's where the activities, the hustle and the bustle takes place. So the south, it's always like that. It carries its own. But the minister was, when he campaigned, he complained about the medical center being downstairs somebody's house, and we wanted to move. And now he got a chance to move it. It's still, after 2.5 years, downstairs somebody's house, the same place. We were getting a fire station. We were getting a secondary school. We were getting flyovers. Nothing so. So there's no development taking place anywhere. In the south, we did get some buttercups and some other plants and some palm trees planted. Pumpkinville, the owner put up sign, no entry, no trespassing. Because the minister took on his own and take the people's property and decide he planted pumpkin and flowers, buttercup and palm trees surrounded the pumpkin vines. Now, that's a no-no. You dare not go to Pumpkinville. No trespassing. The black and white paints, we got that for sure. The curb and the sidewalk and so that got painted in black and white. That's development. Then we had development in the south. Nothing done in St. Patrick. Nothing done, especially in St. Andrew. Absolutely nothing done in St. Mark and St. John. Even the polyclinic that they got there. Remember, that was opened up during the campaign season. NP opened it up, I guess, for a little bit of political mileage, yeah. But it is run now like an office, like a ministry, 8 to 4, and there's nothing in there. So the purpose of it is no more. If you have an emergency, a medical emergency in St. Patrick, you still have to travel from St. Patrick to St. George's. Because, of course, Maribo is a big clinic. That's not a hospital, it's a big clinic. And so if there's an emergency, you have to travel from St. Patrick, from St. Mark, from St. John, all the way to St. George's. And we know what happened in times like that. We lost the life of one of our nurses who traveled from St. Patrick. She was pregnant and died by the time she got down to St. George's, to the General Hospital. The mortality rate is skyrocketing. Just this past weekend, we lost a young mother, died in childbirth. The baby is hanging in the ICU. In the meantime, another young mother was fighting for her life. So much so, she was so scared. She sent out a voice note from the hospital begging for help from anyone on the outside who can help her. Now imagine this. She's at the hospital where she's supposed to be able to get all the help she needs. She's pregnant. She's in labor, supposed to be having the baby. What I gathered from her voice note, she was told the baby is dead, right? And it was a matter of life and death now for her. And fearing for her life, she sent out a note, a voice note. You listen for yourself.
Anita, I know I have a lot of things who I could talk to since Tuesday and in the hospital. Wednesday, my baby dead at me. Oh God, they have me here in pain, just giving me pain and my stomach's no opening. I don't know what to do again. I said, just got me. Oh God, I really need help.
This has broken my heart in pieces. The young lady is crying. She said she don't know what to do again. Her cervix not opening. They have her there trying to pass what she thought was a dead baby. And she can't come up with that on her own. Somebody had to tell her her baby died. Guess what? Her baby is alive. Thank you, Jesus. And so is she. She made it through. And so is her baby. Imagine you're at the general hospital where you should be getting all the help you need. And you're worried about your life? Calling out to someone outside. Somebody help me, she says. Anybody, help me. This is the state we are in. But what we are in? A new hospital. Or a new hospital village, photo ops. Or, I have something to show y'all. I know it's weeks now, but I'm gonna show you. Because we're running out of time all the time. Overload. Overload. We were promised by this administration in the 2023 budget that healthcare would be on the front burner, that healthcare would get priority. But we all know a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. We know all about that, right? And we're not saying that our health system was perfect before, because we had endless issues before. Some of them the same, some of the same. But we were promised transformation. We were promised that they would transform our health care system. Let's hear for yourself.
All of the above has not yet touched on the most critical aspect of our transformation agenda, which is addressing the total disregard for our healthcare systems. For too long, Grenadians have had to make do with an inept system that has undervalued its healthcare professionals and underfunded critical health services to the detriment of many. Mr. Speaker, access to affordable healthcare is a basic right that this administration intends to deliver to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and P.T. Martin. Respect and the assurance of basic rights for our citizens is of utmost importance for this government and serves as a cornerstone of our transformation agenda, prioritizing health and wellness. Mr. Speaker, transforming our healthcare system is the single most important priority for this administration. Our ultimate goal is to transform Grenada into the health capital of the Eastern Caribbean. This means the highest quality in healthcare facilities and services with access for all, underpinned by a culture of healthy lifestyles. Mr. Speaker, the former administration touted healthcare as a priority. However, there was absolutely no plan to develop the health sector. The facilities were ignored, and our healthcare professionals were treated with disregard. Our nurses in particular were fleeing in droves, and critical services were not provided. Mr. Speaker, our citizens were, and still are, literally afraid to be committed to our hospitals for care. This administration, Mr. Speaker, is committed to delivering on the quality of healthcare that our people deserve. Our health is our greatest asset and therefore quintessential to the transformation agenda. And so, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that strengthening our human resource capacity is going to be critical if we are going to transform our healthcare sector. The government is taking concrete steps to address the human resource capacity challenges facing the healthcare sector. Of great concern is the mass exodus of our nurses. We have engaged the nursing fraternity and have listened to their concerns, which include poor working conditions, job insecurity, nurse shortages, and inadequate compensation. Mr. Speaker, we will move swiftly to address the regularization of our nurses and the training of more nursing professionals.
For too long, we have to deal with poor healthcare in Grenada for too long. We don't need to be the what? Health capital of the Caribbean. All we need is to have proper healthcare here in Grenada. We don't need that. If it happened, but our concentration should not be on being the what? The health capital of the Caribbean and have a health village. We just need proper health care. If it is right up there in that general hospital on Granite Tang Road, that's all we need. That's all we're asking for. That's all you promised us. Promise made, promise not kept. Healthcare is at its worst with no improvement since June 2022. And so said the present Minister for Health, Minister Philip Telesford. And he knows it. He's agreeing that nothing was done to improve healthcare since you guys came into office in June of 2022. The concentration is on the so-called new teaching hospital. It turns out in 2026. What's to happen to us in the meantime? All your concentration is on your new health village. What's happening to us in the meantime? With a hospital that is not equipped with material, with medication, with equipment, with instruments, with implements to take care of us now. If we're sick now, we need help now. If you can't manage what we have now, how do you plan on managing this health village? Can't even read a budget. Can't even read a budget. Looking to borrow money to build a health village. Have to borrow $725 million to read your budget. But you're talking about health village. Fix what's there now. Help us now. We need help. You see how that young lady cried out for help at the General Hospital? This whole health village thing is a fantasy. It's a fantasy. None of us who is on this rock now would live to see that fantasy. None of us. And y'all could mark my word. Remember I said that here. That fantasy. In fact, where are we with this whole statutorization thing? We were told by the Minister of Health come January the 1st, and I heard him. I can't play it on here because they go pull along my clip, my program. Come January the 1st, our health system, our hospital would be statutorized. We were told. January the 1st come, February the 1st come, we heading into March the 1st. No word of statutorization. We call on the government to improve or to transform rather, and not for the worse, because it can transform to the worse. Transform our health system for better. Please, we beg it. We are losing too many of our family and friends, our relatives. We are losing too many of our young mothers. We are losing too many of our babies. Too many. We are begging. Moving along, corruption, the issue of corruption, staring us in the face with our Prime Minister turning a blind eye. And it makes me wonder why. I continue to ask, why is he turning a blind eye to the corruption that's taking place? It could only be one reason. If you're smart enough, you would know the reason, or you'd be thinking what I'm thinking. We have corruption in the cabinet, corruption in NAWASA, corruption in most ministries, corruption in Grenada Development Bank, corruption in the Public Service Commission, corruption in the National Lottery Authority, corruption in Gravel and Concrete, corruption in the RGPF, corruption in the Cliff Road project, corruption in the Willis Road project, corruption in the renovations of the new police headquarters, corruption in the 50th anniversary, the Golden Jubilee celebration, and the $22.5 million allocated for that celebration. Corruption in travel, corruption in the Postal Corporation, corruption in the Ministry of Agriculture, corruption on the creative desk, corruption on the desk of the Cabinet Secretary in the Prime Minister's office, corruption in the Ministry of National Security in the Prime Minister's ministry, especially to do with the endless security firms that has popped up since June 2022. Corruption in the True Blue Main Road project, corruption in the Ministry of Labor, corruption in the Cannabis Commission, to do with the Attorney General. To be continued. To be continued. And I'm talking about the corruption there. Our executive has no management skills, very poor governance. We have a prime minister who spends more time in the clouds than on the ground, is in charge of 8 important ministries, plus he micromanages all the other ministries. When does he get a chance to manage? When he's always in a hotel somewhere or in the clouds. In his absence, he leaves the biggest crook in his cabinet, if not one of the biggest crooks on island, as acting prime minister, doing nothing but maintaining the curbs, the bridges, the sidewalks with black and white paint, and planting flowers, palm trees, and banana trees. The prime minister himself is rogue, leading a bunch of incompetent, inept, arrogant, and ignorant yes men and women, spineless and toothless, who collects a twice-time raised salary since they begin. I mean, people get raised pay when they're doing well. They came in and a few weeks after they got their first raise of $2,000. They didn't do no work yet. 6 months later, they got a second raise of $5,000. And they don't care how much kick they get from the prime minister. They don't care because they're collecting a hefty salary with perks at the end of the day. They're getting 100% concession. Everybody driving big vehicles. You can see when it is high up, black, pretty. Everybody driving that blue brick, and we used to break down by the side of the road every 2 hours. You see them by the side of the road trying to fix something. And I have no problem in improving your life. But don't just have us out here. Can't even collect the crumbs off your table when you sit down up there eating the whole entire damn pie. It's all about you enriching yourselves. The government is a gravy train for the cabinet of Grenada and their friends, the technocrats. Gravy train, that's all it is. It doesn't matter what Deacon Mitchell do to you all. You keep your mouth shut. You just sit down and shut up. I am so disappointed and so embarrassed for you guys. Folks, it's not going to get any better. It can only get worse because they do not have the capacity to improve what's going on now. And that is why we will be heading to the polls, according to the Prime Minister, not this year, maybe as soon as the New Year break, or who knows, it may be sooner than later. because nobody comes and says, I'm not having election this year. No, nobody does that. They'll be looking for a new mandate before the shit hit the fan. That's what it is. Stay alert and do not, those of you who voted for be it pension, well, they didn't campaign on duck salary, but they take the money and they pay the duck salary. And all the other niceties, the containers throughout the island that would for the farmers to keep their vegetables cool. And the bucket trucks that would go up to the mountain and help pick fruits. The net to trap the sargassum outside. The 2 aircraft he gonna purchase if they continue to fret him with this Lee. I think he's going to just purchase his own aircrafts. All these things that he get claps for. Do not be fooled. He coming again. He had to come with some more because I don't know how he planned on doing it when you couldn't fulfill what you talk about. A simple thing, as you say, by the stroke of a pen, you can regularize. You couldn't do that. And then you turn around and tell them they need pension reform and give them a susu plan. When you spend your money, it's done. Their eyes are open up now. If some of y'all need toothpick to help keep your eye open, go get the toothpicks. But you need to pay attention to what is going on. We cannot, as a nation, go through this for another five years or more, because if they call election early, it's another maybe 7 years we have to go through this. No, we can't. That's a nope. That's a nope. So pay attention. You see all the paraphernalias, all the things happening. They're getting ready. And so are we. And so are we. Before I continue, I promised a gentleman I would big him up on Simon Says this week. He lives between New York and Grenada. He has business here in Grenada and is an avid follower and listener of Simon Says, him and his wife. Dark Knight, big up yourself. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for your hospitality. And don't get jealous now, the rest of you. So, to all my fans, my Simon Says family, supporters and followers, thank you for your prayers, especially your prayers. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening. We couldn't do this without you. Love you all, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You make me feel very special, very special. In the news today, Petra Roach, Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Tourism Authority, CEO, has announced that she will not be renewing her contract for the 5th year, bringing her tenure to an end in June of 2025. This is what she had to say to the GTA management team and board of directors.
I remember when I arrived in Grenada in June of 2021, tasked with the responsibility of helping Grenada and the Grenada Tourism Authority to come out of COVID. And we remember at that time, COVID was just an absolute nightmare. but we worked extremely diligently. We engaged with the stakeholders around Grenada. We engaged with our stakeholders overseas in the markets, and we managed to come out sustainably and successfully, so that in 2023 we were actually one of only 5 countries in the Caribbean who surpassed their 2019 numbers.
And you know, I remember when she came and we said, yeah, most of us would have said it then. Why a Bajan? Why we need a Bajan to run our GTA? But she did a splendid job indeed, if I must say so myself. Did a splendid job, and she will be missed. Mr. Romain, she will be missed. You want to bet? She will be missed. She continued.
However, I've given early notice so that we can go through a proper process of finding a replacement CEO, so that there's not a lull and that the business of Grenada Tourism Authority will continue seamlessly. And I really hope that when we send out the ad that we get phenomenal applications, and that we can have a new CEO who's even better than me.
In a recent interview, this is what she had to say.
So I'm really, really humbled by the gift of having been afforded the opportunity to work with Grenada Tourism Authority. Again, I was expected to stay 1 term, 1 2-year contract, which then extended into 2. And now, coming to the end of my contract in June of 2025, I've decided that I will not be renewing, that I will be seeking a new adventure on the other side of the industry, in the hotel industry. And whilst I'm looking forward to that, I am absolutely gutted that I will be leaving behind my Grenada family.
She reaffirmed her commitment, ensuring a smooth handover. Compliments GBN. She will be missed. Goodbye, Ms. Petra Roach, although we have up until June. I'm sure I would see you before then. And the best wishes in your endeavors. The Prairie House. Folks, they made a movie. They made a movie to show us the sale of the Prairie House. And that's when I know Simon Says is working and keeping them honest. Now, we would not have known that the so-called government of Grenada has purchased or is in the process of purchasing the Prairie House. They would not have done a movie to tell us that the Prairie House was purchased. But we got a movie. Interestingly, we got a, well, that's okay. We could get 10 movies. The Grenada Lottery Authority purchased a building on Melville Street, paying for it in the financial institution that they're connected to, whichever one it is, paying their mortgage, but not receiving the monies. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. So doing a movie and posting and say the Prairie House was purchased by the creatives, or the creative desk. What is important in what I said on this, and the question I asked? The question I asked is it true Mr. Orlando Romain is bidding or has bid on the Prairie House on Church Street? And that is true. Apparently, it's for the government of Grenada. He was bidding on the behalf of the government of Grenada. So those of you who have been faithfully following Simon Says would remember the question I asked, right? Mr. Romain, advisor to the government, special envoy to ICT and the creative, among other things going all down the road, is in charge of the creative desk and did the bidding on the Prairie House to house art. Now, is that fact or fiction? Fact. He was the one bidding. He bidded. He bidded for the property. So there is a movie. There was a movie released by Mr. Romain and the government of Grenada and the storyteller of the narrative. For our benefit. For our benefit. Yeah. She's saying Orlando building, Orlando bid on building, and it's a government building, and even care about my program and my credibility, you know. Yes. They're worried about my credibility. Cam Jones, worried about the credibility of my program. Yeah. And I say, in the true mantra of Simon Says, keeping them honest. When would we have known that the government of Grenada was bidding on the Prairie House? And as I said, it was being sold. It was valued at $1.3 million. When we're operating as a government on a deficit, we're purchasing a building to house art. When we're operating on a deficit, can't read a budget, right? And catching our tail out here as an ordinary man. Having to borrow $725 million to support the budget. Let me share with you a snippet of the movie. It's a long movie. I don't have the time to waste on. But let me share with you a snippet of that movie.
As part of a whole creative industry strategy, we've identified the Church Street area down to the Carnage Young Street as part of our initial revitalization project. We believe by earmarking some key sites, it can spur further development or further revitalization of the town of St. George. It must happen. I think it's been a conversation on the table for many years, but no concrete action has been taken towards it so far. So we have laid out a strategy that identifies at least 4 pieces of assets that we plan to revitalize. York House being one of them, and it's up for consideration for various options, one of them being the new home of the National Library, National Archive, and a resource center. The building I'm in right now, which is the Prairie building, has been earmarked for our National Art Gallery, and the process has begun to acquire that building from the current owners, and it's well on its way, right? So in a very short space of time, the government of Grenada will fully acquire the property for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, for our artists, for the entire public, for visitors, as a space they can come in and see some of the art that our people are producing.
We have one anesthetist in the hospital, a 70-year-old man. One. Persons in pain and discomfort out there are unable to do surgery because this guy could only handle emergencies at the moment, right? We have a hospital without painkillers, without gauze, without suturing thread, without toilet paper in the bathrooms. but we buying a Prairie House because Orlando Remain say so. And we should, to house some art. And talking about Church Street and Witt Street, and yes, we need a public library. Fix the building where the public library is. It was NDC that shut it down when they were there in 8 to 30. Fix it. Yes, we need the library. What happened to the second floor of the National Museum where they house art? Grenadian artists have their art on show. What happened to that? Put the money into that building, the National Museum. But it's all a showbiz. But monies have to spend. When money's spending, and you say, okay, money's spending, right? Money's jumping up in hand. Renovations, retrofittings, overruns. Y'all think we stupid, eh? It had to spend the money. Yeah. So we're buying a historic building, and we don't have primary health care in our districts. People are dying. Our people, our most what you call the people is our best resource, right? I'm trying to find the word. However, they are dying. Our people are dying for lack of proper health care. Y'all stop the NIS progress. We couldn't ask for better from Dr. Castanet and his company, who do so much for Grenada, he and his family. You pull it from them, because I guess y'all have friends that y'all need to give the job. So that is thrown in the back burner again, the National Health Insurance. You have done nothing when it comes to primary health care. But we buy a historic building for the creative, the whole art. And we have a museum and a whole second floor to store art and to showcase our people's art. Why? Why not put it, as I said, into the National Museum? This is another case of Mount Royal and Mount Cinnamon. We had time for that. We want fancy place. Show off is an expensive thing. But it's not just about showing off. It's about demelaying. That's what it is about, at the end of the day. It's about demelaying. Don't go in the dictionary and look for demelaying. What I would like, Mr. Rumin, is for you to bring back the Storyteller and you'll do a couple more movies for me and for the nation. Do one on the $500,000 that's missing from the 22.5 million, and it may be more, but that's what they tell us so far. Not officially out in the open, but officially inside, we know of it. We know what happened inside officially. Yeah. The $500,000 that's missing from the 22.5 million, do a movie on that first. You and the Storyteller. And do a movie. Well, capture one on the entire $22.5 million, how it was spent. Do a movie on that first. And do a movie on the sale of Tufton Hall, the plantation, the Tufton Hall plantation. Bring back the Storyteller and give us a movie on those two. For now, movies take a little time to do, but so we're asking for two for now. I'll give you the other things that we need movies on as we go along gradually before the next election. We have a lot of movies to make. Before I forget, I have a message for the traffic department of the RGVF. Please, the people are begging. Let the traffic flow. You're all standing under the working traffic lights, calling traffic. That makes no sense. Only in Grenada, when the light turns green, you have to stay. Because the traffic warden or the policeman standing under the light in the middle of the road, calling the traffic coming from the opposite side, that's red. So your light turned green, but you have to stay. If you're coming across the Carenage, you reach on Port Highway, or you go into Grand Anse, as far as Ross Point Inn in Belmont, and you meet a traffic, for the most part, a policeman or woman or traffic warden is in the road calling traffic. Leave the traffic alone, let it flow. There's a developing story involving the government of Grenada and the citizens of Woodford St. John and the Planning and Development Authority that I thought I should share with you. On Sunday, the 16th February 2025, an interview complements the Bob report with a citizen of Woodford, Mr. William Hector, and the CTO of the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mr. Kevin Blash. Here's Dr. Bob as he introduced the segment.
Grenada, the current administration says they are making strides at addressing the road situation by developing a more robust public works program with the construction, for example, of an asphalt plant in the Bouchejou area and enhancing the capacity of subcontractors to roll out a more robust road maintenance program. However, some issues and concerns still remain, as concerned residents in the St. George Northwest constituency, as well as in Woodford St. John, have expressed concern about increasing activities around enhancing Grenada's road maintenance capacity. Now, here to make sense of the road infrastructure challenges in Grenada are Mr. Kevin Blash, who is the current Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, as well as Mr. William Hector, a longtime resident of the Woodford St. John area, but who also straddles the Perseverance area, and he will be here to speak to those issues.
Now, in an interview, by the way, the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, interviewed by Callistra Faria on the state of the roads and measures taken to fix them. This is what the Prime Minister had to say.
So the retraining by the name of Reno is setting up a national plan. Because of the size of the equipment and so on associated with asphalt plants, we've entered an arrangement with them that will allow them to host it temporarily at the government sites in Bouchejou. Asphalt is the, in a sense, the end product of all of the things that are required to get you to the point where you need to pave the road. We have some significant strategic challenges in Grenada. We only have one quarry that's operational. That's the quarry at Mount Hackman. That quarry is operated by one entity. We have significant challenges just in terms of getting the aggregates out and by extension getting asphalt in the quantities that we need. And that's one of the major reasons for the state of the roads. Now, this is a historic problem, and I think we could go and look at the reasons why it has happened. You see, historically, one company has gotten all the contracts to do road construction in Grenada. One of the things that has not happened in Grenada is that people have been given road contracts to build the roads, and they don't give them contracts to maintain the roads. And the government, the former government, essentially has decimated the Ministry of Infrastructure's ability to actually even do basic things like road maintenance and road repairs. Everything was outsourced in a very ad hoc and non-systematic manner. I mean, I'm saying basic things like we don't even have a pothole truck. That is why when you go on the roads, people are not cutting the roads and getting back to the foundation and redoing the foundation and then asphalting. They're just simply patching. So I'm saying the reality is to get to the point where we can change that, it needs equipment change, it needs personnel change, it needs training change, it needs engineering change. Those things don't happen overnight. And the patching of the roads isn't something that happened yesterday. It's been, frankly, if I may say, all my life, that seems to be what we do. So what we're seeking to do is to try and create more fundamental changes. We have major roads that will need major contractors to repair and maintain the roads. We have secondary roads that we believe we can build a local capacity of all people to be able to do so. In Grenada, there's only one, except CCC. There's this CCCI or CCC, whatever the acronym is, that does major road construction, and then you have Mr. Budla's company that does secondary. After that, there's nobody else who's doing any kind of major asphalt work. So for us to be able to get to the point where we can properly repair and maintain the roads, we are going to have to bring expertise. We got to invite private contractors to come in. Reno is one of them. We are looking at others and seeking to get them to come in so that we can look at addressing the infrastructure. A lot of our bridges are compromised. We got a lot of rain. A lot of the river defenses and so on are compromised. We have significant rock stabilization that we need to do. So the next 3 years is going to require a lot of money being spent on building resilience into the road networks, into the bridges networks, into the river defenses in particular, and to stabilization. So we are hoping to start on also some of the roads that are very narrow. For example, the Lance Appeal entrance to the Woodlands entrance. If we don't widen that road now and repair it, you see what people do. They build right up to the road. That's the challenge we have on the cliff to the Woodlands junction. So we're seeking to address that. The road from the cliff to at least Egmont Point also needs resurfacing. It's very rough. There are roads in St. David's, for example, that Penmutter Junction all the way to Dudman Vincent. These are secondary roads that are in pretty bad shape.
So do we have a timeline for
commencement?
No,
we intend to, barring us getting all of the contractual arrangements and barring the contractors being able to get materials, that's a key thing. You have to be able to get the aggregates, you have to be able to get the bitumen, and you have to have the equipment. But barring all of these things, we certainly expect to be able to start some of the road repairs from the first quarter. Obviously, and I've made it clear to the contractor and to the consultant that's providing the project that we're not happy with the pace of the work, and we expect to see significant galvanizing. And
speaking of that, I understand that a lot of the problems with the delays at the Cliff project was because stuff that had to be handled from the government end wasn't handled.
That's nonsense. The honest truth is, this is just my view, and I don't want to get into a public spat about this. You would have had minor things like being able to had to move some of the poles and so on. That ought not have handicapped most of the work that needed to be done. So the truth is, and I'm saying this openly, contractors in Grenada need to take themselves seriously, and they need to take government work seriously. For the last 2.5 years, for them to get government work, they need to invest in their businesses, they need to invest in their personnel, and they need to devote resources to projects when they are given, and they need to begin and complete them in a timely manner. There's only so much the government can do for them. If you're serious about the contracts that you get, you will take it seriously and you will deliver. This is not just a challenge. You see many Caribbean countries that challenge persists. But we are doing everything to try and empower contractors. They also have to take their responsibilities seriously to make sure that they can deliver and deliver work on time. Right? So when a contractor is given a road, the public can judge by themselves whether the road is being built to the standards that the public expects. And so it is important for us to make sure that we hold contractors accountable. There's been a culture of not holding them accountable, and that's the truth.
As far as the asphalt plant is concerned, have we, because we're putting it, Boucherville has become a kind of residential area. There are houses close by. Have we done the necessary, have the environmental impact assessment and so on been approved by planning? Is it, or are we still waiting on that?
No, well, I mean, the site itself is a site that already has asphalt. We already mix coal mix and so on. This is the government site for the Western New project. So this is not.
But Reno is going to be doing hot mix there?
It is likely that we will do hot mix.
So
I'm saying as it stands now. So I would certainly say no. IV has been done in terms of the plan with it. But I'm saying the site as is the site where we already do asphalt mixing. It's a site where all of our bitumen is stored. It's a site where all of coal mixing and so on is done for all of the roadworks on the entire western coast. So
do we process hot mix there? I don't think so.
We don't process hot mix there. We don't currently process hot mix. I'm saying we coal mix there. But I'm also saying that's the site where all of the coal mix, all of the bitumen, significant aggregates and so on are held. So, I mean,
so are you comfortable that the asphalt plant that will be operated there is environmentally sound, is not going to
Because I know there have been some changes in technology of different types of asphalt
I
plants.
can't speak to the technical aspects of that, but I would certainly say, given where the site is located, certainly as far as I know, there are no immediate houses in the immediate vicinity of it. But in a small island, there's always going to have to be give and take. Anywhere you put an asphalt park in Grenada, it's probably within a mile or 2 miles of a residential community. The party that's operating in Mount Catman, the residents in Mount Catman and landscaping complain about the dust and the quality of dust and stuff like that. We have a quarry site that is not operational in St. Andrew. If that goes back on stream, we're going to have to deal with this with the residents. So it's a question of making sure.
I know it was long, but I needed you to hear what the Prime Minister had to say about the asphalt plants and stuff like that. Because, well, let's take it one step at a time. Let's take it one step at a time. Compliments Calistro Faria in that interview there. He spoke of, you don't even know how much sees. He's a Minister of Infrastructure. They have a contract signed with this the gentleman, Mr. Nelson, who is on, and his company CCCCI. And he doesn't even know how many C's is the contract. However, he spoke of them being the only contractor on the island that doing roads and somebody. That's not true. Who built the Mount Kuma Road? Who did the Mount Kuma Road? Who did it? Was it the Eastern Main Road? And part of the Western Main Road at some time. Who's doing the bridges in St. John that we had issues with recently with the school children and so? Who's doing that? Come on. You know, there's no need to exaggerate and to lie in plain sight, as always. It is just showing signs of being a narcissist, lying for no reason, right? Here is the CTO, Mr. Kevin Blash of the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Prime Minister's ministry.
Thank you for staying with us, sir. Now, there is the construction of the Professor Calistro did an interview with the Calistro Faria, did an interview with Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell that was somehow leaked. It should not have been published, but I got wind of it during that process. And that has to do with the construction of that asphalt facility in Bouchejour and its possible impacts on road maintenance. Now, the Prime Minister in that interview, he indicated that asphalt facility would be doing, I believe it's coal mix. Correct me if I'm not saying this correctly. Coal mix, yes? Is that the accurate terminology, Mr. Blash?
So there are two types of asphalt. So you could do a coal mix, which basically uses, I don't want to say coal bitumen, but it uses coal bitumen, and then you have hot mix asphalt, which is as the name suggests, it's hot, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. So what will that facility be doing? Because I understand there was a previous facility in Bouchejour as well, and so you've enhanced the capacity there. What will be the role of that facility? As the Prime Minister said in an interview, it looks like that facility will be used to help to aid in ongoing road maintenance, especially in terms of the potholes and things like that. So the first part of the question is, can you talk about what that facility will be doing? And then the second part of the question has to do with the concerns raised by the residents in the area, in Bouchejour, in Brizan, in Happy Hill and surrounding areas, that the effluent, and of course there is a housing scheme, a housing project of this as well, the effluent that will be coming from that facility, and people are concerned that that would have some environmental impact on them in terms of the fumes that they will be inhaling. Is that something that the Ministry of Infrastructure considered? So I want you to answer the second part of the question first, and then we'll deal with what it intends to do, the function of the facility.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It is something that we we are concerned about. The reality of the situation is that plant that is set up in Bouchejour is what you call it is referred to as a mobile asphalt plant. So it is meant to be moved. It is really just a temporary measure to give us a bit of respite in the wake of the damages we've seen post the heavy rains in November. So it is not a long-term move by us. It is actually something that and that kind of segues us into the development in Woodford as well, because the
Yes.
intention there is to set up a more permanent, should I say, asphalt plant. That in itself is a private development though, by the Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited company.
Would that be, and this is where I want Mr. Hector to come in. So what you're saying is that the facility in Bushiju is temporary until that facility in Woodford becomes the permanent place for that. Now, what about go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, right, yeah. So so the main role of that plant is to at least give us some additional capacity to do some paving. But the long-term plan is not for that plant to remain in Bushiju. In terms of the exact time frame for it to be there, I can't give you an exact time frame.
Okay. He spoke there of both plants, the Bushiju plant being temporary and on Crown lands, while the Woodford plant is on private land. It's belonging to a private company named Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited Company, aka Reno Company. The company responsible for the reconstruction of the Molyneux land slippage bridge, the company involved in the Willis Main Road saga. That's never-ending saga, in other words. I understand Reno just landed a contract to build a school in St. David's. So was it Reno's helicopter that was being used during the aftermath of burial? I think it's if my memory serves me right, I think that helicopter belonged to Reno. Was there some kind of agreement made? Because Reno seemed to be doing very well here in Grenada at the moment. Just asking some questions that come to mind, just asking some questions. Let's hear a clip on the Woodford plant.
Why is it there in the middle? It's close to a preschool. It's close to the playing field. It's close to many residences. The Chinese-funded housing project is there. What about the one in Perseverance? Could it not have been placed there?
So the one in Perseverance is also a private facility as well. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the government owns the land in Bushiju. We currently produce coal mix asphalt there as well. So if I'm not mistaken, there are probably some fumes that are emitted from that site already.
The question is, why Woodford? And to speak to us in depth on that matter is Mr. William Hector, a resident of Woodford, speaking of his and the concerns of the residents of Woodford.
I think it is very careless of our administration to even consider the things that's being done in our community. Now, I'm quite baffled as to what the gentleman is saying here. Bushiju is a developed area. You said it, there's school and everything. Move up to Woodford. How can one even think about erecting a plant for asphalt or any other type of plant in the area where this plant is being erected? There are houses located just about, say, 30 or 40 feet away from the plant. And it's not only one house, lots of houses. And over those houses there, we have a community called Brooklyn. And this community is a striving community. Over here, we have schools, churches, and other businesses. And putting a plan there would be a real inconvenience to the people in this community. Barring that, now I will question what is the thinking of this administration when it comes to people's welfare. Already we're suffering from the landfill in Perseverance. The people of this community has to deal with flies in the dry season, and even in the rain season, smoke and the noise. It is unfair to us for anyone to even think about putting more weight on these places. And as a matter of fact, the area where these people are being occupying, right? They're occupying the whole area. They're occupying Halifax Harbor, Perseverance Bay, and the landfill has already polluted those bays. So the people in this area here doesn't have any way to recreate themselves. We does not have playing fields. We does not have centers. And the only place we have is this beach, are these beaches. And when you think about putting a plant there where it's being located, it's going to hamper our agriculture system. Now, by looking, would say, see that bad things start happening already. The road, the feeder road that's leading up to the Mondo area, where most of the farmers in this community do their farming, the feeder road has fallen, all because of the construction that those people put in there. And nobody is addressing us. The gentleman there, who should have known so much, would have known that when you're going to do these kind of construction in a community, the community at least should be notified. Nobody came to our community and had any meeting with us. We haven't had a heads up. All we see is the plan going up and everybody guessing. Some people tell us it's a hotel, some people, Nicogram say it's a hotel, some say it's guest houses and all they like. And now the development has started. Mr. Bob, big things start small. And I think this matter has to be looked into seriously because the people is not going to take it lightly.
So nobody spoke to the residents, Mr. Hector, and the residents of Woodford as to what's really happening there. Mr. Hector continued, as he said, he spoke to the Member of Parliament for the area, Karine James, and this is what happened there.
Yeah, now, as a follow-up to that question, now I understand that as residents in the area, in my background research for this segment, that you spoke with the Member of Parliament for the area. Could you articulate what, and of course the Member of Parliament for the area is the Minister for Climate Resilience, the Honorable Karine James. Could you articulate what conversation you had with the MP in respect of her knowledge of what is happening there? Or even the people who are doing the work, have they reached out to the community? Have they consulted with you in respect of what's happening, not only there, but in respect of what's happening at Halifax Bay as well, of what they're doing there?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, I am here as a private citizen. Because I live here, I grew up in this community. I think it's only fitting and proper that I speak for the people here. I spoke with the minister on Thursday, and I think it's a shame. I brought to the attention, because she visited the area where the road broke, and I was one of the persons there. I asked her, I said, what is this going on? What is this construction? What are they doing there? Shamefully, the minister told me she doesn't know. She said, Mr. Hector, I don't know. I said, how could you don't know? How can you don't know when you're the minister? You're the one who's supposed to protect us. You're the one who's supposed to defend us. You came to us and you told us that you're going to help us better than the other persons who were there before. and now things happening. It could be bad. I don't think it's good. And you telling us, the members of the community, that you don't know, you're not even negotiating for us to have a conversation with the persons who building the who actually constructing the project. I feel bad. It's a shame. And community members feel bad too, because nobody having any discussion with us. I want to know what's going on here? Where are we living?
Yeah.
I want Mr. Blanche to tell us, where are we living, and what would be the situation with those people in this community going forward? If you're going to erect a permanent structure there, and it's going to be a plant, right? What's going to be happening to my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren? What's going to be happening to our cultural product? What's going to be happening to our schools or our beaches? And so this is a community. This is not a remote area.
In response, this is what the CTO, Kevin Blash, had to say on the Woodford project.
Now, Mr. Blash, I understand that I believe you mentioned the name of a facility there. I can't remember the name. But there's also, is that the same Reno project that's happening there?
Right. So,
yeah.
So, Mr. Gajada is the person who owns
Wilson
the land.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Reno is the person who owns the property in Woodford where the construction is ongoing. The reality of the situation is, of course, further to Mr. Hector's point, there would have to be some kind of consultation with the persons in the area to see just the extent of how much they would be affected. I understand his concerns because if he says they have to grapple with the effects of the Perseverance landfill already, and if I'm not mistaken, there's already an asphalt plant in the area, right, Mr. Hector?
Yes.
Right. How would you describe your experience with that asphalt plant in the area?
Listen, living in this community here and having to deal with the area from, say, Cotton Bailey down to Bouchejo is like we're living in filth, right? Now,
okay.
Because you asked me a question, I would like to ask you something. Now, what should the people in these communities do after having invested in retirement homes where, say, like I'm particular, I built my house here because it was pristine. The community was pristine. I could have wake up in the morning, go out on the veranda and inhale fresh air, right? But since all these things start coming into the community, it's not the same. And there are many other people that can say that. Listen, during the daytime, we have to keep our houses closed because of the flies. And now, if you people going to put a plant.
Hold on, now you people. Don't say it like that.
Yes, because you're in the government. You're the
yes, Mr. Hector. Again, he's the enforcer of policy.
Yes.
He's not a policy maker. I want us to be clear. He's not the Minister of Infrastructure. Let us be clear there. He's only here in that capacity. So but I do understand your frustration, and of course, hopefully, Mr. Blash, that is something you can take back to the policymakers, because you're hearing the concerns here in respect of their lack of knowledge or awareness of what's happening there. We have comments here saying that the people were not consulted on this. We have comments that even the member of parliament said she didn't know what was happening there. So perhaps that is something you can take back to your boss, the Prime Minister, who is also the Minister of Infrastructure. But is there anything else you wanted to add there, Mr. Blash?
Yeah, no, I understand the angst of Mr. Hector, and I think he
yes,
he's a voice of residents in the area. I think now definitely we have to take a deeper look at what is happening in the area, especially in the backdrop of adding anything else there as well. And it's a fair point. It's a somewhat of a a sticky situation to be in, so to speak. In the sense that you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Right. And of course, that facility, Mr. Blash, how will that be enhancing the capacity of the government of Grenada to address road maintenance issues? What are we going to be seeing there? What work will that plan be doing? I mean, you know, the residents, they seem to be clueless. Maybe you have some ideas to what will be happening there?
Right. Well, to be fair, I'm not sure if the detailed plans are really, you know, fleshed out, so to speak, you know, in terms of having consultations with persons in the area. You know, I'm just kind of aware of some, you know, the future thinking. The reality of the situation is currently on the island, there is only one supplier of hot mix asphalt.
Yes.
That is from the plant that is currently in the area. Part of the logic, I mean, as you know how, and that's from a more economics perspective, you know, a monopoly is, right? And a monopoly is an interesting position to be in, you know, in when you know you deal with these things, you know. So you know, ideally, you know, competition should, you know, suppose some innovation, you know, improve the prices and the costs to taxpayers. You know, the additional volume of hot mix that can be produced can, you know, help to ramp up the speed and the quantity of roads that we are able to, you know, repair in a particular time frame. So and I understand, you know, completely how Mr. Hector feels. You know, is you know, it's better for everybody else, but you know, at what cost to, you know, the persons in the you know, in the area. And I think that is something that, you know, this conversation this morning is, you know, somewhat critical to, you know, to addressing and assuaging some of the doubts of the, you know, the people in the area.
So the question was asked, what role does the Ministry of Infrastructure play? And that is the Ministry of Infrastructure. The minister responsible is the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell. And is there any connection with the Planning and Development Authority, also under the minister, the Prime Minister? That ministry is also under the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the minister responsible. In other words, the minister responsible for both entities is the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, Deacon Mitchell. Here is another clip.
Context of, and of course, we, you know, the caveat here is that, as you indicated, that's not government land, that's private land, and that's a challenge we have in Grenada, because there's no land use policy, right? And that has been the perennial debate. And because there is no land use policy, someone builds a warehouse that should have been earmarked for environmental protection. You build a hotel that should have been in an area that's also earmarked for environmental protection or even agricultural use. So what role, I'm not too sure what role the Ministry of Infrastructure plays in the context of decision-making on the Physical Planning Unit Board. Does the Ministry of Infrastructure have any say in what the Ministry of Infrastructure does in deciding to give approvals to construction projects like what we're seeing in Woodford?
Yeah, so the Planning and Development Authority is now a statutory body.
Yes.
The ministry is represented, the Ministry of Health and so on. You know, so any development project has to, you know, go through a particular you know, series of, you know, submitted master plans and, you know, completing ESIAs and so on. You know, so all of that is things that, you know, I guess in the coming months will be fleshed out, you know, and made public to the residents, you know, so at least they can, you know, make comments and address some of these things.
When the horse is already galloping down the road, as usual, they run and close the stable. Mr. Hector returned addressing the CTO.
Dr. Bob.
Yes, sir.
In Grenada, right? If you has to burn and put light garbage, just to light a fire in your backyard, you has to get permission from the authority. Mr. Blanche, excuse me, sir, you're not making sense. The building, the project that you're projecting in Woodford is not on the ground. It's already constructed. So who did the environmental study? Why wasn't that done prior to the building being constructed? Why wasn't say the authority and the construction people, why hadn't they met with the community to find out what would be the impact on that community relative to an asphalt plant coming there? Mr. Bob, this is an asphalt plant. This is not say orange juice, canning orange juice, or a hotel where people eating food. Now, this thing here is going to have a major effect on our community, and it's going to have an effect on children yet unborn. So we don't want it here. It's there, and if we allow it to continue, it's going to develop into something that we wouldn't be able to get rid of. And are they saying that the people in this community has to give up their homes and everything and walk away? Look at the damage that's being done there already. The road fall. People like me who own lands in the Mondo area, for months we won't be able to go up, maybe for years, who knows? Would they ever be able to reconstruct that road for us? We haven't even heard nothing from the people who erecting the plant there. And where the road has fallen is just maybe about 20 feet from where the plant is. And the road fall because because of the construction. Nobody can tell me different. You understand? So I want, and I would like somebody from the authority, because if my minister, the minister for the constituents of St. John's, does not know what's happening, somebody with more authority to call a meeting and tell us what they intend to do, because the people is not going to take it easy. And the owner of this plant at least should do something to give assistance to the farmers up in Mondo because of the road that has fallen. You understand? And this construction should have never started from day one, from Jumpstart.
Again, after the horse is galloping down the road, they run and they close the stable. But we know we're dealing with a retroactive government. Now, Ron Redhead was viewing the program. In the comment section, thought he'd ask Mr. Hector a question. And this was Mr. Hector's answer to Ron Redhead.
We have a viewer this morning. Of course, he is the Member of Parliament for St. George Northeast, the Honorable Ron Redhead. Mr. Redhead, it's good to see you on the program, sir. It would be good to have you on the Bub Report this year. We have been inviting you to appear on the program in the past, but you've not graced us with your presence since. But it's good that you're commenting. Mr. Ron Redhead, and this is directed to you, Mr. Wilton Hector, is saying, Brother Wilton, what is your recommendation for an alternative site, especially taking into consideration that this is a long-term problem? What say you, sir?
Put it
in response to the Member of Parliament.
Put it in Lansopin. Put the plant in Lansopin or in Calivini. I think this is going to be better. The whole of Grenada is supposed to bear the brunt of our disasters, not only the people in St. John's or the Northwest St. George's area. Mr. Redhead was there. He came that evening last Thursday when we was visiting. He came for a photo op. He didn't say anything. They just laughed and posed and left. The question here is, when are we going to get our road? And when is this plant going to be removed from that area where it's being placed? If you want to find out, where they should put it in Lansopin.
Laugh and pose. That is synonymous with the NDC and the cabinet and ministers and prime minister laugh and pose. That's what they do best. Let us go right to the closing comments of Mr. William Hector of Woodford St. John's, speaking on behalf of the residents of Woodford and the surrounding areas.
Mr. Blanche, no apology, but I'd like you to know that I may sound a little rough on you, but it's not about you. You realize that, right? And I understand. This is our Grenada. Grenada does not belong to one set of people. Grenada belongs to us, right? And what is viewing it as somebody from outside in? If we have a private company come into the community and build a plant, it does not make a difference. The government will still have to buy the product from them. Right? So it's like we're going backward. We're going, we're spinning top in mud. Okay. Dr. Byrne, I thank you.
Yes, sir.
For giving me the privilege to appear on this program. I'm looking forward to having conversation with other persons, not even on your program, but in a forum related to those things that's happening in our community. And those persons who are going to appear and speak with us, they should come with facts. They shouldn't come and tell us they don't know. And when people don't know and they have the job, my suggestion to them is give it up. Give up the job if you don't know the job. Thank you, sir.
I totally agree with Mr. Hector. If you don't know, give up the job. Folks, I have to wrap here. We're not finished. We would continue this Woodford saga in our next issue. But I spoke to the people in planning. I actually spoke to the CEO who had put me on to, but we found out all about what going on with planning and that Woodford project. Very interesting stuff to come. But we got to wrap. I know some of you would like a better sport than to have a 3-hour program today, but it's too long. Already 2.5 is too long. I'm trying my best to cut it, but so we would take a wrap here today on this edition of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for viewing Simon Says for yet another episode where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Always my pleasure. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.